Hello, everybody. We are back again with another episode of the Nintendo Pipeline Podcast. I'm your host this time. I'm CMM1215, but you can call me Clay. And with me, I have a few fun people.
I'm One Up Muffin on the Discord, but you can call me Jared.
I'm Mina.
And today we have a special guest. You can introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sam. I go by NintendoFanGirl on the internet usually.
Sweet. And we are here today because it is a major anniversary for Zelda this year. We've got 35 years, which is older than all of us, of Zelda. And so let's just kind of get into it. I was kind of curious what your all's favorite mainline Zelda games were to begin with.
So, my favorite is actually going to be a very boring answer.
Oh boy.
It's Breath of the Wild. I mean, come on. You know? like, come on. It's Breath of the Wild is a game that, like, literally changed the way I think about video games. You know what I mean? Like, it was so, like, it really just redefined to me what is possible in an open world game. And it's a game that I'm constantly thinking about. Like, to this day, like, I'm thinking about that video game. You know? It has had such a remarkable impact on me that, yeah, I don't want to say Breath of the Wild because it's everyone's answer, you know? but it's everyone's answer for a reason, you know?
Well, we'll see about that, I guess.
Well, yeah, maybe not everyone here, but
Yeah. I know for me, Breath of the Wild's definitely up there. I'm bad at picking, so I'll pick two, and that's Zelda 1 and Link Between Worlds. I like them both for both different and similar reasons. I like the openness that they both have. Zelda 1 in particular, which is just kind of like you're walking through essentially like a maze, and it's fun to just kind of get lost and find random caves and get my ass kicked. Link Between Worlds is great because it lets you do the dungeons in pretty much any order, and I really liked that system. That is a game that I actually like 100%ed, which doesn't happen often with me in Zelda games just because my attention span is bad. But I want another top-down Zelda that's like Link Between Worlds really bad.
Same.
Yeah.
Muffin.
So yeah, I'll pick the pre-Breath of the Wild boring answer, which is Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Specifically, though, the 3DS version.
Of course. Yeah.
This game, to me, is just what Zelda is. It's got a ton of great dungeons. It's got amazing atmosphere. It's got pretty memorable characters for a Zelda game, I think. And it makes the water temple good, the 3DS one. I think that's my favorite temple in there, with the way the touchscreen works with the items.
Yeah, that is super convenient.
3DS version definitely, like, any little things that were wrong with Ocarina of Time, like, those, it smooths those out. The Water Temple being the best example of that, right? But it's funny, because you say it's the boring answer, and I, like, before Breath of the Wild, but I almost feel like before, when discussing people's favorite Zelda, it's the one that gets the least discussed, you know? Because, you hear people passionately say about Majora's Mask, or Wind Waker, or even Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, but, like, Ocarina, like, I guess because it was the default for so long, no one wanted to talk about what made it so great, but it has that reputation for a reason, right?
Yeah, it is like the default 3D Zelda that all 3D Zeldas are based off of, but I think they did amazingly the first time.
They just nailed it immediately, right? And so, yeah, it allowed for those other games to get weirder and do different things, because, I mean, Ocarina just nailed what it was trying to do right out the gate.
Definitely.
Is this the part where I say that I got stuck in the Deku Tree as a child?
I think most people did.
I got stuck in the part before you get the actual Deku shield. So.
Oh, yeah,
wow. Yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah, I don't know how it took me a while to get past that, too, as a kid. It didn't make any sense to me.
Technically, Ocarina was my first Zelda game because the neighbor kid had rented it from a store and brought it next door to play on my N64. And my first experience was him running in the field and like the giant pea hat flying around, and it was so scary to me.
Yeah, that thing is freaky.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I didn't actually play Ocarina, but that was like my first Zelda experience.
It's so funny because I had a similar experience with Ocarina, like where my first experience was actually on the GameCube. I'm a little bit younger, I guess, but my GameCube came with the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, and that had Ocarina on there. And my neighbor, he played through like the first chunk of it, and we got to the Hyrule Field, and then like at night, the little I forget what the enemies are called, but they're like little weirdo looking guys,
Basically
right?
zombies.
Yeah, little and like as a kid, I was like, oh no, I don't want to see this. I'm scared.
Are you talking about the Redeads?
Not even
Like the werewolf guys.
Yeah,
I
the
forget
little
what
things
they're
that come
called.
out of the ground in the overworld.
Yeah.
Oh, the little bony
Oh
things.
yeah, right. Stealthos.
Yeah.
Are they Stealthos? No. I don't
Yeah, I think
Kind
I
of
forget.
ish.
Something like that.
They have bones. That's all that matters
Yeah.
to me.
Don't we all?
Well,
I
super exciting. My favorite Zelda game is not any of your favorite Zelda games. So we have
oh good.
all different
Ooh.
ones. And all of the ones mentioned, except for Zelda 1, sorry, are in my top 5. So
I expected it.
my favorite Zelda game is Wind Waker. And it's also my first Zelda game, technically. So I played Wind Waker first, and then I went backwards, and then I went forwards. So I've played almost every Zelda game and finished almost every Zelda game. But Wind Waker, for me, I mean, I think part of it is nostalgia because it was my first Zelda game, but I think it just has such a good call to adventure and an incredible soundtrack. I love Wind Waker so much.
Yeah, I would agree on both of those points. It's just kind of really cool, like sailing through like the giant open ocean,
Oh yeah.
and finding like little islands and like random stuff.
Yeah, and I love exploration, so the idea of like the ocean being too vast or annoying to go through is for me ludicrous because I could sail through there forever pretty much.
And
Yeah.
the track that plays while you're sailing
Yes.
on the Great
It's a
Sea,
great track.
it makes sure that you never get tired of it, because it is just phenomenal all the way through,
Yeah, I would if that was the only song in the game, I'd be fine with it. I'll be real honest. Like, the Great
just that
Sea theme
good.
is very good.
I
Yeah.
want to try out the Wii U one of that because I liked Wind Waker, but I feel like the faster sailing would make me want to explore more of the islands and just I think it would lead to a better time overall for me. But I really
Yeah.
like that game as well.
I mean, HD honestly gave me a stronger appreciation for Wind Waker because when you get rid of like the kind of, I don't know if you want to call them bottlenecks, right? Just some of the weirder stuff that was in the original Wind Waker, HD gets rid of a lot of that little stuff, but just that those little changes really allow what makes Wind Waker special to thrive even more, and key part of that is exploring that sea, right? Because once you get rid of those annoyances, it's like, oh, you're just having a fun time, kind of exploring this giant map,
Yep.
Yeah, I think Wind Waker was the first Zelda that I played where I got to the instrument and was able to play the instrument. Thinking about it, because like Ocarina of Time, I was stuck in Deku Tree, and then I think I kind of like ignored Zelda for a long time, and then I found Link's Awakening at a tag sale for like $1, and I was like, all right, and I got very much into Link's Awakening versus like some of the 3D ones, but I still tried every 3D one with varying success. But
Link's
Wind
Awakening
Waker
was my
fun.
first one.
Yeah, Link's Awakening is fun. It's a bit, it's weird. That's kind of why I dig it. It's just weird.
The vibes are so unique, even amongst just the franchise, right? And yeah, Link's Awakening has. It really appealed to me as a kid in particular because it felt like this really. I think that world feels more mystical than any other like world in Zelda, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I dig like I generally really dig Game Boy versions of a lot of series, and I kind of like how they have like smaller like self-contained worlds, like Wario Land had like Kitchen Island, and and Metroid 2 had SR388, and then Zelda had Koholint, and Koholint is really cool and like bizarre and like well fleshed out, but like is on a smaller scale for Game Boy.
Yeah, and there's Chain Chomps, so
there is Chain Chomps, yeah, and Kirby and whatever else. Yeah. I'm pleasantly surprised. People are gonna not be happy with me for saying this. I'm pleasantly surprised no one said Twilight Princess.
it's up there for me. We don't need to talk about it today, but
yeah,
it's a very good game.
I thought for sure someone would say Twilight Princess was their favorite.
It is not my favorite, but it's not far down on my list, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a great game.
I like Twilight
I don't
Princess.
despise it or anything.
For me, Twilight Princess almost like put me on ice with the franchise for a little bit. But going back to it, I do appreciate it a lot more. And it does reaffirm my belief that like the very floor for a Zelda game is pretty high. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Even at the franchise's quote unquote worst, it's still these are phenomenal games all the way through, especially the 3D series, but even the 2D games, you know. To me, like the only games that go below like a 9 are like the DS games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember actually really dug the touch controls in Phantom Hourglass. I loved like drawing the arc of the boomerang. I was like, yes, this is my thing. Spirit Tracks I didn't get very far in.
No.
I thought Spirit Tracks was great. I loved the train stuff. There was one part where like a giant like spider monster follows you into a cave, and it's just a great like train boss fight.
Yeah, that sounds cool, but I never got there.
I got that far. Spirit Tracks is one of 4 Zelda games I didn't finish.
What are the other 3? I'm curious.
Zelda 2, which I will join the chorus in saying that I think it's the worst Zelda game by such a long shot.
Okay.
But Zelda 2, and then both Oracle of Seasons and Ages, I did not really play.
Yeah.
Can I be honest about Zelda 2? I realize it's a bad game, but I have such Stockholm syndrome for it because I beat it before. So I beat it on the Virtual Console before Virtual Console ever added save states, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that was a trial.
Yeah.
But I did it, and so because of that, like a part of my brain just wants to justify that it was all worth it. So it's like, no, it's actually good.
See, I love Zelda 2. I don't care. I think it's so much fun, and it's also evil. So
it is evil.
It's like it is evil. Yeah, I think we can all agree that it's evil. There are some really interesting. This is a small aside, but there are some really interesting Zelda 2 ROM hacks out there. Like there are ones for Zelda 1 and stuff, but Zelda 2 ROM hacks are interesting because like they changed everything about the game. And I don't know, if you don't like Zelda 2 but you like the idea of Zelda 2, some of those might be worth just checking out, although some of them are more evil than Zelda 2, so there's that. Going back to Twilight Princess for a second, the first time I ever went to Nintendo New York, which at the time was Nintendo World, they had the E3 2006 demo of Twilight Princess.
Oh, how cool!
There,
wow.
Which was cool. Yeah, it was cool to play that. I think it was just the second dungeon. I think it was Goron Mines. I don't know. Gorons were there. It was hot. There was lava.
Oh, that kind of hot. It was.
Yeah, that kind of hot. Yeah.
Not the Gorons were hot. I don't. That's what popped into my mind when you said
Gorons
that.
The Gorons are not my ideal man, but
that's okay.
What are your guys like? Some of your favorite Zelda memories in that sort of vein?
For me, it definitely would have to be Skyward Sword. I waited like 12 hours. Not 12. I waited like I don't remember how many hours, but it was a lot of hours to get that special edition with the golden Wiimote and everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went to go pick that up at midnight, and just all night I was just so antsy. I was like, oh my god, I need this now. Like,
I had that version reserved, and then like towards the end, I was like, I don't really need another Wii remote, and that is
Oh,
one of my
man.
Blasphemy.
biggest regrets.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
That's the Wii remote I use when I play.
Yeah,
Wii.
same.
Yep.
I only have, because I got rid of most of my like Wii related stuff, right? But the only thing I have left is my golden Wii remote, my golden nunchuck. Because I mean,
Yeah.
what else would I use? You know?
It's
Yeah.
got Wii Motion Plus
See,
built in. What else do you need?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, see, I love the red Wii, and I made it my mission to get a red Wii Remote Plus. So that's like my go-to is the red one.
Do
But
you
I did
have the one
end
with the
up-
Mario symbol on it, or
No, just the
Okay.
regular. Just
they
the
were selling
regular.
those on the store.nintendo.com for a while, and I wished I'd gotten some of those character ones.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
the character ones are funny actually, because it's just like it's not like, oh, this is a controller with like Toad's like, you know, symbol or whatever on it. It's like literally like Mario's buttons are the minus and plus buttons. Like the
controller
character got
is
turned
Mario.
into yeah.
They got really creative with those, and they're really cute. But
Yeah.
But but I ended up getting the gold nunchuck at some point, so I don't have the gold.
oh, you don't have the
Wii
Wii remote,
but I
but I feel like that's like the opposite of most people, right? Because I know a lot of people who just really want that golden nunchuck to go along with their Wii remote, but
I think it was while I was working at GameStop it came in, and I was like, all right, this is mine.
Oh, lucky.
And there was another one. It was the Golden Classic controller that came with GoldenEye.
Oh, that's even luckier.
Yeah, I snagged that too. I was like, hell yeah. I don't think I've used it once. That's just pretty. But yeah, like waiting outside for stuff, I think,
Done a lot
I
of
mean,
that.
yeah, well, yeah. And before the Wii launch, Sam and I were in like, what, freshmen, I think, in high school at that point?
Something like that.
Had to be. And yeah, waiting out in the freezing Walmart parking lot for a day.
I got a terrible sinus infection.
God.
I like came home
was-
and I slept for 18 hours, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, like I can't breathe.
oh,
Terrible.
God.
oh
I-
no.
Did you not play it at all?
I
when you got home
literally,
first?
I don't know why, but there was a air mattress set up in my living room. I really don't know why. And so I came home and I like sat on this air mattress and I put Twilight Princess on the Wii, and then I just like fell asleep and woke up dying.
That's so
Oh, no.
funny. Oh, when did you actually get to play Twilight Princess?
I have no idea. Eventually.
The haze.
You
Yeah,
know,
I think like that day, I know I fell asleep at like it was like 2:30 in the morning. I fell asleep. I woke up to being in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, and that's another story. But
Oh my.
It was
But-
cold. We went and got hot chocolate or something like that.
yeah, but there was another reason.
Oh.
We went there. Another person,
Oh.
if you remember.
Not really, but I can kind of inference.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I fell asleep at one point. I was kind of just delirious. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, cuz they like gave us tickets at some point. For some reason they gave us tickets at like 2 in the morning." Like
Well, I was getting mad because people were cutting in line. And so before they gave us
yeah.
tickets, I like wrote out numbers and I was like, here, this is your number. I'll know.
I will remember where you were.
Yeah. Cuz it was you, Crystal, me, and then I don't remember what the rest of the line looked like after that.
We were in the front, so it didn't even matter for
Yeah.
us. I was just so...
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
these
just the
people have
principle.
rights. They were here first.
Yeah.
We're here
Everyone
first.
walking by like, "What are you sitting here for?" Looking
You
at us
know-
like we had 3 heads.
You know what's funny? I actually picked up my Breath of the Wild. I got the Master Edition, so with the Master Sword and everything, very
Mhm.
beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I picked that up at midnight. I didn't have my Switch yet, so I had the game and nothing to play it on.
Yeah, I had that same situation for Twilight Princess. I got Twilight Princess, and then I was doing like the mad rush for the Wii, and we heard there was some at like a Toys R Us, so we ran over there. And I already had Twilight Princess, so I didn't need a game. But the only way you could buy a Wii at Toys R Us was they forced you to buy one of those bundles.
Oh, no.
So they
yeah.
gave you like a bunch of random junk, and you had to choose
Uh-huh.
from like 3 bad games, and I chose Rayman Raving Rabbids.
Hell yeah, let's
got
go.
that
It was
at
like
lunch,
that,
too.
Madden Sports, or something else.
amazing.
Elebits.
Elebits.
I wish I chose Elebits. That would have been the better choice.
That was my launch game.
I remember that
Elebits
like
is great.
they had like this shrine at Walmart. It was
Yep.
like at the like return area of just like accessories and games and like everything. That was a fun time. It was a magical time.
Yeah, getting the Wii was a lot of fun.
And I think, if I remember correctly, Mike came over with me that day, and we played Wii Sports for a bit, and then we played Twilight Princess, and basically got stuck at the catfishing for like an
That
hour and
part's
a half.
hard. It's confusing.
Yeah, it was very confusing. We caught the fish, we're like, hell yeah, it's over, and then they're like, you gotta catch another. And we're like, God damn it.
Man, Twilight Princess catching the fish, it that's etched into my soul, you know? Because I just could not grasp it, you know?
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to do this. I'm having a mental breakdown over this fish.
I feel like if I like went and did it now, like I'd get it like immediately.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
same.
probably.
It probably is not that hard, but I don't know. At the time, I was just like, I don't get it. How do I catch this fish?
Yep.
God, what other memories do you guys have of Zelda? Even stupid ones.
I have my favorite not in-game memory is probably actually E3 2016, which is
Ooh.
the only E3 I've been to. But it was the year of Breath of the Wild, basically. So they had a trailer like the morning that E3 opened, as Nintendo does always have their thing that Tuesday morning. And I was at the expo hall when they opened, and I waited in line for, I don't know, 2 hours, which wasn't too bad. While I was in line, I saw like Miyamoto, I saw, I don't know, a little bit of everyone. I saw Teizande, the chocolate rain guy. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
maybe not on par with Miyamoto, but still very cool.
Yeah, he's up
Hey,
there.
still, yeah.
And you get up there, and there was a room, like a little holding room before you go into the demo area, and it was a dark room, and there was like 20 seats, and you sit in, and they do this really cool projection on the wall where they play the trailer, and then it opens up as if it's like a dungeon door opening up, like big stone dungeon door or something, and you go in, and there's just like life-size Bokoblin and treasure chest and Link with his bow and arrow in the air, and the Guardian. It was just the coolest thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I love their like elaborate booths, and I'm
Mhm.
glad that we get some of that at PAX now too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I miss like the live things for that reason. Just seeing even just seeing on a video is so impressive what they build for E3.
Yeah.
And that Breath of the Wild one was kind of one of the first examples of them doing such an elaborate one, right? That booth was so cool. I saw a part of it because they brought it to PAX South. So this was in January, like right after the Switch unveil, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe 2 weeks after, and I got to play the Switch, and one of the games I got to play was Breath of the Wild. And oh my gosh, you should have seen the mad rush to the Nintendo booth. The second the clock hit like 10 o'clock or whenever the expo opened, right? There's just this mad rush of people just running to the Nintendo booth. It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
insane, and the booth closed off in like 5 minutes because like they had
Yeah.
already exceeded line capacity within 5. It was ridiculous.
That sounds like Nintendo at every PAX.
Well, this
They go
past
to.
one, they had Animal Crossing, and it was like, I don't
Yeah.
know, the 2 weeks before it launched, so people were crazy. No, it was
Yeah.
longer. It was like a month, but still. It was the first
Yeah.
like demo and the characters and everything.
Yeah, by the time you like got down, like the Nintendo booth was like at the front too. Like it was right when you got like down the stairs, and like by the time like I got down the stairs, like the line capacity
Yeah.
was
So
filled
yeah,
up.
6 hours. And also, you can't enter the line, but if you do enter the line, 6 hours.
Yeah, you can't wait here, but sometimes you can.
Hmm.
It was chaos.
Speaking of that demo, I have the strangest memory. So when I played that demo, right? Obviously I got to try a lot of such things, but one of the things, of course, I got to play was Breath of the Wild, right? And and basically what they did, they gave you the controller. They're like, hey, you have 20 minutes to do whatever you want, right? Which is cool, right?
Yeah.
But so I played it, and then I could have sworn, and clearly I made this up because this is not in the final game, right? But I could have sworn I felt like HD rumble on like something or the other, and I described it to someone, and they're like, dude, Anuma literally said there's no HD rumble in this game. And I was like, no, I swear to God, no! And my brain like completely made this memory up. It was ridiculous.
You just had Zelda flowing through your mind that it
I
felt so
guess,
real.
yeah. I was like, I felt the sword swinging or some. I don't even remember what I said. It was something ridiculous. And they were like, "What? You are clearly just losing it." I was like,
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you call it? I know. Then there was that for me. There was that. I talked about this briefly yesterday about that Zelda escape room, which was more like the Zelda homework room.
I hated it.
Zelda.
Yeah.
We were just reminiscing over it a couple weeks ago. I went with some other friends to a different escape room, like a real escape room, and I like literally blocked the Zelda one from my mind. I forgot it even happened. That's how bad it was. So disappointing because I was so excited.
Yeah, well, so we're heading there, and now we're running because we're late.
We're always
and
late for everything.
yeah, and this is the part where we have to cross the road, and there's like this giant like this bike marathon going on, and like we all run, and of course I'm the one who probably I think made it last, and like I'm halfway across the street, and I just see out of the corner of my eye some woman like on a bicycle like launching at me, and yeah, she like I almost got hit. She wiped out.
And then we just walked away. We're like, come on, let's go.
Okay. I looked back. I'm like, all right, she's not dead. Cool.
So bad.
But we made it.
We did make it.
And so yeah, and had that guy at the beginning, the jester dude. I don't know if I think he was dressed as a jester.
I
can't remember. It was like the guy who introduced like what we were doing. I just remember finding that really funny because he wasn't like a specific character or anything. He was just like some dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically like you had a bunch of puzzles to solve, and like you'd eventually get, what was it, like you would get a master sword?
To be clear, you had a bunch of puzzles to solve on a piece of paper.
Yes.
It was not like a nice fun escape room. It was literally you sit at a table and you get a piece of paper.
That's so fun. Because I was like, oh, I felt so bad for missing out on that, but now I'm like, okay, clearly I didn't miss much.
No.
Yeah, and so like you would do like the first packet or whatever, and then you would eventually have to go to like what was it? It was like they had like Zora's Domain, they had Goron Mountain or Death Mountain, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like these people in costume, and they would like give you stuff, and then you'd go back to your table and do more homework.
Yeah. So what really got me was they were supposed to have these Navi helpers walking around, like, so they would come to your table and help you if you needed help. And we were stuck on like the last thing for almost the entire time, and we couldn't get their attention, and they weren't coming near us. So Navi failed us completely.
You aren't so helpful after all, Navi.
No, and so we didn't finish, and that just was like the cherry on top to it being not fun.
Yeah, and what was it? Was it Master Sword? You had to get the Master Sword, right?
Something like that.
It was something like that.
And
they had a lot of Master Swords to give out.
And I don't feel bad spoiling this if they ever hold this again. The like last thing you had to do was rip the paper in half or something like that. Which, like, they specifically said you don't have to destroy anything or change any. So in our heads, we're like, no, that can't be it. But of course, that was the answer.
I forgot
I'm
they
still
said
mad.
that. I forgot they said we didn't have to destroy
I left them
anything.
a scathing review afterwards.
Oh my god.
Because it was also expensive. It was like $30 a person to sit at a table.
Wow. But then we went to the Resident Evil one, and that one was cool.
Yeah, that one was awesome. So.
What about you, One Up? Do you have any particular memories?
So can I do game stuff or just out of person stuff?
You can do any Zelda related memory.
Okay, because I've never been to like any like launches or anything, but I would say that the strongest. I haven't for that. I've been to like some Smash ones, but so for Zelda, probably the best memory that I have was a a pretty standard one, but of just seeing like the shrines for the first time in Breath of the Wild,
Oh
and
yeah.
just realizing,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have to look for the right way to go. I just have to look for whatever way I want to go. And that was just such like a game-changing moment that I hadn't played since probably the original Ocarina of Time.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have a question on that note of just like in-game memory. But what's kind of the longest like session you've played a Zelda game?
Oh.
Like the most you've marathoned a Zelda game?
Definitely Breath of the Wild. Like I put 80 hours into that. That was a lot of my senior year of college.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I actually put, when that weekend it came out, right? I had put, I think, 36 hours in that first 3 days, which was like,
Wow.
ridiculous, right? Like I literally was eat, sleep, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I played it quite a lot, and full disclosure, I still haven't finished Breath of the Wild.
Oh no.
I managed to get like 40 hours in, and like only have beaten like maybe one or two of the dungeons
Oh my
because I just kept
goodness.
getting distracted.
It is easy
I was
to
like,
get
oh, look.
distracted.
Yeah, it's very easy to get distracted. But that was definitely the one I probably like spent the most time
Yeah.
like just marathoning.
Offhand, I'm not sure, because I think I did stream Wind Waker HD, and usually if I stream something, there will be at least one really long playthrough, but I'm guessing Breath of the Wild takes the cake, too. Like, also paired with the fact that it was a launch title for the Switch, like, that's all I wanted to do when I got it, so...
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's just that kind of game that you could just endlessly play, right? Because just lose track of time because you're just so engrossed in that world.
Just one more shrine type thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure it has that element.
Yeah, I grabbed Breath of the Wild and Super Bomberman at launch, so I pretty much just alternated between those two, but eventually I was like, alright, we're playing Breath of the Wild until the battery runs out.
You made a good choice. I choose Breath of the Wild and 1-2 Switch.
Me too.
So I grabbed that later. I had fun with 1-2 Switch. That's another story.
I had a few great sessions of it, but not Zelda.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Zelda has a lot of fun stuff, obviously, from mainline games to spin-offs, and I kind of wanted to talk about those for a few minutes because like Zelda, it's funny. So like Zelda is actually a series with a decent number of spin-offs, and even though I don't necessarily mentally associate it with that, like like Kirby is a series where I'd be like, oh yeah, there's a lot of cool Kirby spin-offs, but like Zelda, even though it has a lot, I don't think about it that much. So I was kind of curious what your guys' favorite Zelda spin-off games were or have been.
I had to Google this before just to like remind myself of which ones were spin-offs.
Yeah.
But I had a great time with Four Swords Adventures. Getting to play that multiplayer with multiple Game Boy Advances. It was just such a fun experience, looking down at your Game Boy when you went into houses and solving Zelda puzzles with your friends. It's a good time, and I hope they bring something like that back. I know they did Triforce Heroes, but I would like to see
I cannot believe there's someone out there who was able to get through that setup of Four Swords Adventures. Like hooking up the multiple
it was two
Game
people.
Boys.
We both had our own Game Boy Advances.
Oh, okay. I want to, like, one day I want to have a full 4-player setup of Four Swords Adventures. I just have to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did play with the GBA with my brother, so I got to experience that too, and it's one of the coolest things. They did it with Crystal Chronicles too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a way that we could experience like that one little form of gameplay in modern consoles.
Yeah, they had the closest thing that we could have had that we didn't get was like a version of that, but using like DS's wirelessly,
or with the Wii U or something.
You would think the Wii U gamepad is kind of perfect for that, though, right?
Yeah. If multiple gamepads actually happened, that would have been an awesome thing.
Yeah. I dug. I see. I haven't played as much Four Swords as others. So like idea of a Zelda spin-off is something more like Cadence of Hyrule.
Oh yeah.
Or I'm going to include it anyway, the Zelda game that was in Nintendo Land.
Sure.
That counts.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. I actually dug that a lot. But in terms of my favorite Zelda spin-off, I did have quite a good time with Triforce Heroes. I would call it Four Swords adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun going through. It's not. It's weird. It's a very weird game. And I never ended up doing like the post game for it, but like it was a good time. It was 3 players is such a weird.
Yeah, it's a
thing.
weird number, like 3 players, because like how often like you see 2 or you see 4 or whatever, but you never see like 3. It's such a weird number. But I had a good time with that game as well. Like the dungeons are like actually like really weird and fun, because it's very puzzle oriented, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And also just like messing with your friends in that game is
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential in there. Like,
Yeah.
And the cute outfits.
Yes, I
Yes.
love the
Never
cute
forget.
outfits.
I would say my favorite spin-off would have to be either Hyrule Warriors or Link's crossbow training, because I love light gun games. I actually really, really, really like Link's crossbow training. I would intentionally just kind of like say this to piss people off, but I'd be like, yeah, I think I like Link's crossbow training more than Twilight Princess.
Ooh.
I'm sure that would piss some people off.
Yeah, it would, but like it was both a joke, but also like kind of serious, because
There's like a little bit of hint of truth to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that game, and Hyrule Warriors has just got me into Muso in general, and I adore that game and Age of Calamity. But I'm just kind of speaking about them as a whole. Like, they're such a great celebration of Zelda. Like, they're so much fun, man. Like,
Yeah.
Zelda actually, like, Zelda using the freaking Dominion Rod and like summoning a statue to beat the crap out of people is just so good. Or like running people over with Epona.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'll jump in because I was going to say Age of Calamity for my favorite spin-off. I don't really have anything to add. I'll say that I did enjoy Age of Calamity a bit more than Hyrule Warriors, but not because I didn't like Hyrule Warriors in any way, but I think I was almost overwhelmed with like how many characters and crazy
so
different things to do, and something about how like cohesive and story-based, even if it's potentially not 100% canon, Age of Calamity is. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think it marries Breath of the Wild with a Muso game just very well. Like they changed a lot of stuff to be more in line with Breath of the Wild, and it feels like a good marriage of those two games. Like everyone having a Sheikah Slate and stuff like that.
And like Breath of the Wild world is so cool, so like having another game set in that, like yes please, like
Yeah.
The menu, like the menu being the map is great. Like,
I love that.
Everything
beautiful.
just being on that map
And
is so good.
There's like new music for it, and just being able to see like the pre and in the middle of being destroyed versions of like the Hyrule Market, which didn't exist in Breath of the Wild. Super cool.
Yeah, that is actually really
and
cool.
the new DLC is out
that.
now. I've been playing it this week. It's pretty fun.
Zelda on the Master Cycle.
Yes.
I have to grab the DLC still. I was curious because they didn't really say much about it. Like they
did
showed
this
like
like
the
weird
characters.
trailer that didn't really give you much detail. It looked cool, but it was like not
and
really
it's weird because I'm having more fun than I thought I was going to, because it basically unlocks a new chain that you have to unlock things in to unlock the pieces of the DLC, and so there's a whole list of new missions open essentially, and it's cool.
So it's kind of it's almost like a chunk of like game or like a mini campaign to kind of unlock
Right.
the
It's a
different DLC
research,
pieces.
they call it, campaign. So you have to help Robbie with his research to get these new weapons and stuff.
Oh, that's super cool.
Mhm.
They
That's
look
cool.
cool too. Like that
Mhm.
weird like I don't know what it was, the weird like whip thing.
Yeah, the flail.
The flail, yeah. That thing looks
It
cool.
is.
I'm kind of wondering if that's in Breath of the Wild too.
I would love that,
Like
but who knows?
yeah. I do have to pick that up. And then I know the second set of DLC is like more story based.
Yep, that's all the way at the end of the year, and I'm thinking we might have more Breath of the Wild 2 news before then.
Yeah, I
Fingers
hope
crossed.
Yeah.
so. Yeah, fingers crossed on that one.
I would like to get Age of Calamity once the DLC's out. I really liked the demo. I just didn't have the time for it last year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty
And
long.
hey, maybe it'll run better on this one.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I got to post game for that and kind of got distracted by other stuff. But the thing with Age of Calamity that's nice is that you can conceivably 100% that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh,
kind
sure,
of like
yeah.
what
I
Sam was
tried.
saying. Like
I got stuck
Yeah.
at 65%, but I tried.
oh no. But like Hyrule Warriors, original Hyrule Warriors is like
Oh, there's
you need to
too
play
much.
that game only that game for the rest of your life, and even then you might not 100%.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Mina, did you say your favorite
I
spinoff?
didn't. I would say mine is Cadence of Hyrule. Because
Yeah.
that game, the sprite work is so beautiful. I thought exploring that world, it was randomly generated, but they had like the little like biomes, I guess, right? That were like typical
Yeah.
Hyrule places. I thought that was really fun. The music remixes in that game are fantastic.
Yep.
And I'm always gonna pop huge for when Zelda's playable. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I love Zelda. Like she's so cool, and any chance I can to play as her, I will take because I love her.
They added so much to that game too, both in terms of DLC and like free updates. Like
Yeah, they did a lot to it, surprisingly so. Like it even has like a kind of like roguelike mode now, right? Like more
Yeah.
similar to like Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is based off of.
Yeah. I still have not got around to it yet. Like it came out at a time where I was just swamped with other the hard copy came out when I was swamped with other stuff. So like I grabbed it and then like I haven't touched it.
I really wanted
And
to
they've
get
added
the hard
so
copy.
many. They've
Yeah.
added so many characters too. Like
Yeah,
I think
Skull
even
Kid
Skull
has a
Kid.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really neat game. I'm a big fan of it.
I guess I'll give a quick shout out to Tingle's Balloon Fight, which is not available in the US, but I imported that and I dig that very much. Dual screen balloon fight is so good. But yeah, so we're kind of coming on the end here. Does anybody have any closing thoughts for Zelda? Anything they want to share for Zelda's 35th anniversary?
I'll say my closing thoughts are the timeline still makes no sense to me, but I like to pretend that it does, and I'm excited for Breath of the Wild too.
Hell yeah.
And also any other ports we might get, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers
Or
crossed
them
for some.
all. Give me
Yeah.
all of them.
Fingers crossed for some Wind Waker and Twilight Princess action at some point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love Zelda, and I'm going to spend some of Zelda 35 finishing the Zelda games I didn't beat, like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. Those are some of my top gaming goals of the year.
How about you, Mina?
I just love this franchise. It is like it is a franchise that I feel like even like I said earlier, like even at its worst, like I still have a phenomenal time. And I will look forward to every new entry, probably till the day I die. So
Yep.
yeah, I love Zelda.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat. Zelda is kind of gaming royalty at this point. Whenever there is a new mainline Zelda, it is an event, honestly. And especially after Breath of the Wild now, too, with everything going forward into Breath of the Wild 2. That's what I'm most looking forward to, just seeing how that plays out. I'm very excited to jump into that. But I'm also excited for the smaller stuff. Like, I love the weird spin-offs that we get. I love that Zelda Game & Watch very much.
Yeah.
I will be playing that like Zelda 2 timer mini game on there constantly because that I just know it.
Maybe I'll finally play Zelda 2 for real.
Maybe you'll finally.
That's the way to play it on the game.
It's the only way I will play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hope that we continue to get cool stuff. And I'm glad that we're also at a point where both 3D Zelda and 2D Zelda kind of coexist. I know we got Link's Awakening remake. I'm hoping we get a new 2D Zelda soon too. So long as they keep doing that, then I'll probably be happy forever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was our Zelda 35th anniversary episode. If you guys have any thoughts on Zelda or some of your favorite Zelda memories, we'd love to hear them. Sam, where can everyone find you?
I'm easy to find at NintendoFanGirl at Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok now. I've been making TikTok content like
boy.
a youngin'. But yeah, if you Google Nintendo Fangirl, they'll all come up.
Sweet. I am so jealous of your username, like the fact that you have that handle.
The trick is to become a big Nintendo fan right when the internet is new. Then you own the world. So just be really old. That's all you gotta do.
Just go back in time like Link.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
And in the meantime, you can find us at nintendoera.wordpress.com for our site, which is kind of on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but we have lots of cool custom articles from people in the community that you should definitely check out. And you can listen to this, obviously, on YouTube, but also on Anchor or any of your, favorite podcast platforms, or at least favorite, I guess, if you're feeling that way. And yeah, until then, thank you, Sam, for being with us today. Thanks everybody for hanging with us, and we will see you next time. See ya.